Pico. You know him, the gun-toting, orange-haired, pupilless little ball of violence we had the pleasure of rap battling in week 3 of Friday Night Funkin. Now that he's playable, how well do we really know him? Here's 10 things about Playable Pico. As we know, the first additional playable character of Funkin is Pico, the assassin/ex-boyfriend of Boyfriend. Pico was once teased as a playable character as early as November of 2020 in the first Friday Night Funkin teaser trailer, before the character was even added in week 3. As seen in the teaser and in the eventual week 3 game files, Pico was always destined to be playable, as his sprites were left-facing, just like Boyfriend's, and his sprite sheet contains miss animations. Originally during the release of Weekend 1, Pico used Boyfriend's result screens at the end of his songs, but now he's got a few custom animations of his own. From bottom to top, Pico's loss animation is a reference to Johnny Utah's Flash cartoon, Pico's epilogue on Newgrounds, and the smoke animation is referenced from Samurai Champloo. The two animations of Pico shooting and blowing up targets are nods to his capabilities with an array of weapons as seen throughout his depictions in the past 20 years. But notice how he skips over Boyfriend the same way he didn't shoot him in week 3. The eye on the rocket launcher Pico uses is a reference to the tanks in Akira Toriyama's Sandland. The perfect animation of Pico drop-kicking Nene and dancing is a reference to his moveset in Newgrounds Rumble, and his dance is based on the 4th annual Newground Tank Awards animation for Musician of the Year. Excellent and Great currently have the same animation due to the actual Excellent animation being buggy for this update, so it was held back. Unlocking Pico requires the player to beat Weekend 1. The screen informing the player that Pico is now available is a reference to Super Mario Galaxy, as collecting every star as Mario allows the player to replay the game as the green meanie Luigi. The pose that Pico takes on the character select screen is another Akira Toriyama reference, Bardock from Dragon Ball Z. The way characters slide when switching between them on the screen is inspired by Splatoon's shop system, where the player can swap between which store they're buying from with the triggers, physically moving the shops and characters who react accordingly. On the free play menu, Pico twirls his gun on the turntable, an effect made possible by referencing a 3D model of Pico's gun. There's currently an unused idle animation much like Boyfriend of the turntable smacking Pico's gun into his face. The Playable Pico update introduced a number of new musicians to Funkin, like Six Impala, Meta Room, That Andy Guy, Exploshi, Terravex, and Suyanoshi. The most surprising addition to the musical roster is probably Lotus Juice of Persona fame, who raps the song Get Funky on the character select screen. Apparently the team got him on board by simply shooting him a Twitter DM. Blazin' is currently the only non-vocal playable song in Funkin', and this is due to the track's original concept. Blazin' was originally going to forgo the usual 4-note gameplay of Funkin' in place of actual combat between Pico and Darnell, with blocks, punches, and dodges being done to the rhythm of the song like a fighting game. While a really cool idea, the team decided that there wasn't enough time to do the idea justice and scrapped it, giving us the Blazin' we see now. The Playable Pico update brought not only Playable Pico, Dodoy, but also updates to Erect mode. Weeks 1 through 5 and Weekend 1 have updated backgrounds for Erect and Boyfriend mixes of their songs. Week 1 now takes place backstage with an adoring audience in frame. Week 2 takes place with the lights out and rain outside, and the occasional lightning revealing the scenery. Week 3 is effectively the same, only darker. And Week 4 now takes place during the twilight dusk hours of the day with a visible moon and shooting stars. The Boyfriend mix of Darnell's background is more saturated and gloomy, with more fog and clouds as it begins to rain partway through the song. The background for the mall in Week 5 has completely remade onlookers. At the top there's Miku, Monster, Picanjo, Tankman, Tricky, Dad and Me, Leo and Satan, Isaac, Doki and Nabby from There She Is, Artist Phantom Arcade, Snake from Metal Gear Awesome, and Darnell. On the bottom floor are Cool Frog, Gogo, Nono, and Mama Matsumoto from Punch Punch Forever, Ina, and Cloaked Cassandra. Pico has a currently unused Hey animation, presumably going to be used during Week 2. Speaking of unused animations, when the Weekend 1 update dropped, Girlfriend's extra animations for hitting a certain combo and dropping it were notably absent. With the Pico update, however, these animations have not only returned, but now apply to Nene, who will celebrate if Pico hits a combo and laugh at him if he drops it. On the topic of things Nene finds hilarious, when starting up a Pico mix of a Pico track, one of the two Picos will place a cigarette in their mouth for the other to light with a bullet. There's a slim chance that either Pico can miss, blowing the other's head off in the process, which Nene finds hilarious. If the player's Pico shoots the opponents, they play against a non-singing, unmoving corpse. If the player is shot, the song is instantly lost. This makes the Pico mixes of Week 3 the only songs that can be passed with a 0. The pool of blood created by Pico's neck hole has separate code in the game in which it's supposed to grow over time, but currently doesn't work. The character select screen contains a number of fighting game references. Choose Your Dipshit being a play on Choose Your Fighter, the screen having a character on each side like 1v1 fighters, and the hook of Get Funky being very similar to the character select music from Street Fighter 3 Third Strike.
I stay funky, doing donuts in a bin. I stay funky, battle goes wherever I is. I stay funky, I don't know who's ready to spit. Just know you're going down with my 50 he ain't clear.
A funny Easter egg is that the character selection can also be cancelled before the transition back to free play, giving awkward pauses and expressions to the characters hoping to have a turn. You're gonna hate me for pointing this out, but Boyfriend's symbol on his shirt is backwards in his sprites here. When holding a key down to scroll through characters, the cursor will move to the half beat of Get Funky, matching the rhythm of the song. This is because the sound that played when swapping originally sounded like a hi-hat, and moving the cursor would drum along with the song. Why, Crumb with a C and fucking Google Docs didn't pick that up? I'm mad I didn't pick that up. A major addition to the Funkin engine is new shaders and blend modes, making it possible to change color palettes in-engine instead of relying on whole new sprite sheets. This is done with help from Flix Animate creator Teams and Friends and Fabs, with the engine now able to incorporate things like hue and saturation right from the FLA. For example, the glow on Pico's cigarette in his lose animation uses a blend overlay for the glow. Pico has certain vocal quirks depending on the opponent. For Tank Man, Pico often cuts him off before he can finish his verse due to the two characters not seeing eye to eye, which clearly aggravates Tank Man. With Daddy Dearest, Pico's vocals are slightly auto-tuned in some parts to match his opponent. He also seems more frantic and playful when rapping against the Spooky Kids, matching their cartoonish and childlike personalities. When Pico is against himself, it also seems like he's having fun, while also giving a unique twist to the songs he's sung before with new vocal samples to establish the two as two separate voices on the song. Regardless of song, Pico burps and swears during certain parts of his tracks, a quirk that seems to have rubbed off on Boyfriend, as during Coco Erect he drops a bomb. Apparently, Pico burping and swearing wasn't intentionally used as frequently as it is, as musicians on Funkin found the sample to be hilarious and included it in their tracks. The uh-oh graphic that censors the mouth of a swearing character was originally thought to be used for Tankman when the naughtiness filter was on, but now we see its actual use in-game for the first time. And that's 10 things about Playable Pico. I hope you enjoyed. Massive blast from the past, as Pico was my first ever 10 things, but what goes around, facts around. Thanks for watching, and until next time.